In this video, we're going to practice evaluating limits. Our first example says the limit as x approaches -1 from the right of 2 all over x plus 1. Now, how do we know we are approaching -1 from the right and not from the left? Well, if we were approaching from the left, the superscript that we see up here would be a negative sign. But instead of seeing a negative sign, we see a positive sign, and the positive indicates approach from the right. So we can graph our function 2 all over x plus 1, and it looks like the graph over here. And we see that we have a vertical asymptote at x equals -1. As we approach -1 from the right, so we're coming this direction towards -1, but we'll get on the actual function, we see that the function or the curve is going towards positive infinity. So graphically, we can see that the limit as x approaches -1 from the right of this function is positive infinity. But analytically, how can we show that? Well, this is what I consider to be the table method. In the table method, you pick x values that are approaching -1 as close as possible. So I'm going to choose -0.999 and -0.998. When we plug these x values into the function, we get the following. Of course, when we plug in -1, we're going to get error. When we plug in -0.998, we get 1,000. And when we plug in -0.999, we get 2,000. So what does this table indicate to us? It indicates as we are approaching -1 from the right, getting very close to it, the function values are growing. Thus, that means that this limit is equal to infinity. How would it change if we were approaching -1 from the left? So I'm just going to extend my table, and now I'm going to consider x values that are approaching -1 from the left. So I'll go with -1.002 and -1.001. And of course, just to be complete, I'll also include -1. So doing the same thing we did before, we'll evaluate the function at these x values, and we get the following. So as x is approaching -1 from the left, that means getting as close as possible to -1, but from the left side of it. The function value is getting big, but in the negative direction. And that is negative infinity. So regardless if you have to evaluate the limit graphically or using a table, we'll end up with the same results.